So I wanted to make a video about Trickster's current state and how I would like it reverted as pretty much everybody else, at least Trickster mains. But it took me far too long, and it would be a huge video, and I don't really have the, I'm too much of a perfectionist to actually put enough effort into that to make it good, so I just want to put a couple small thoughts out there, because I know that some of the few best Trickster mains are drawing lots of attention to Trickster, doing their best to get behavior to listen, and I appreciate them for that. There were a couple of things, though, that I wanted to have my voice be heard, so yeah. First things first, I don't like the movement speed, obviously. I think the going to 115 was a mistake, because the movement speed of a killer does not have that much of effect outside of chase. The difference between 110 and 115 isn't very noticeable until you're actually in a loop with the survivor. Patrolling gens and map traversal is not that much of a difference between 115 and 110. So with that, the point of 110 movement speed for killers is to force them to use their power to down survivors. And with Trickster, that he was 110 because it forced him to use his knives. He had to be good with his knives to damage a survivor. Now that he's 115, that's kind of thrown out the window, and I don't really like that, because if he's 115, you might as well just walk up behind the survivor and M1 them. So if you're caught between a choice, well, I could throw knives at the survivor, or I could just M1 them. That's not a healthy state for him to be in, especially with the 8 blades to injure. It makes M1 more appealing, and there's not enough of a balance between M1ing and actually using his power. Second off, I wanted to talk about main event. Obviously, I do not think it should be at 8 blades. I personally would love it if it went back up to 30 for a requirement. I know that some people are a fan of him not having too high of a knife requirement to get main event. However, I always thought it was kind of backwards, because the main reasons why nobody really likes playing against Trickster is he is very lethal when camping and tunneling. And when you give him main event pretty much all the time, currently he is able to get main event in 1 health state, that just makes him far more oppressive with camping and tunneling, something that the game should be pushed away towards, and it is being pushed away towards with the anti-camp mechanic. Another thing that I really think Trickster suffered from the changes is that his add-ons all got like wiped across the board, even though many of them weren't even changed at all. A lot of his add-ons just became super worthless and not worth running, and only like 1 or 2 add-ons stand way above the rest. Memento blades. This is probably my second most egregious change, or the change that I find the second most egregious behind Iridescent Photocard, because I think this add-on is just ridiculous. Memento blades used to be a meme add-on that made it so you needed 1 more knife to injure, going from 6 to 7, and now that it was increased to 8, this no longer became a meme add-on, and instead they didn't really know what to do with it, so they were just like, hey, here's a massive buff to your power with no downside, and it's a brown add-on. This is undoubtedly, hands down, his best add-on by far, and it's just not healthy. The animation is bugged. He throws knives faster than his arms can keep up, which is annoying. You get used to it, but it is annoying. Finally, Iridescent Photocard. This is the reason why I'm making this video, because I hate this add-on. Mainly, I think the reason I hate it is because I used to use the old Iridescent Photocard when I first started playing the game and Trickster. I liked it a lot. Behavior has had an issue with designing iridescent add-ons that insta-down. However, I think his Iridescent Photocard was a particularly healthy one. It gave you an insta-down when you had 4 or 5 knives on a survivor. The new version of this add-on gets way too much praise for doing absolutely nothing. Like I said, this is the main reason I'm making this video, and it's because everybody else that I see complaining about Trickster and wanting him reverted, which again, I agree with, I'm very grateful others are pushing for it, they like this add-on and would not mind it kept, and think it's a good, well-designed add-on, and I could not disagree more. I don't know how everybody just thinks, yes, this is a good add-on. It is valuable, it is well designed, it is healthy. It's just not any of those things. It is terrible. So, with each blade you hit, you get 1% haste. This haste goes away if you miss or injure a survivor. Like I said earlier with the movement speed, Trickster does not need to be faster. He does not need to be 115, because he's forced to use his power at loops being 110. So you are pretty much always going to down a survivor with knives. Never are you going to just run up behind them and M1. So what Iridescent Photocard does is every time you hit a knife, you get faster, which on paper might sound good. Again, I don't see how it sounds good at all, but whatever. I cannot fathom how anybody thinks that this add-on is useful or valuable, because that haste that you get, so let's say you land 3 knives, which is about the average, right? You're going to land 2, 3, maybe 4 knives in a row. So that means you are 2 to 4% faster. I cannot think of a situation where this add-on is going to be useful enough to warrant running for this niche situation where you need to be 2 to 4% faster. Now, it's nothing to scoff at, right? MFT proved that haste is a big deal, but so many YouTubers and content creators put this add-on very high up in a tier list. Just a ton of people have it in A tier or maybe even S tier, when I think this add-on does absolutely nothing. It's a gimmick that doesn't work. And no matter how you try to force it, it will not work no matter what. Another thing about Iridescent Photocard that I forgot to mention is it is quoted as having compatibility with Trick Blades, the purple add-on that bounces knives. Because when you throw a knife, if it bounces and flies way up into the skybox, it takes a while to disappear, so you'll keep the haste for longer. So again, I can't see why nobody else has an issue with this, because yes, you keep the haste for slightly longer, about 1 to 2 seconds. Now, in those 1 to 2 seconds, this haste you're talking about is again going to be on average 2 to 3%. Having 2 to 3% haste for 2 seconds is not helpful. It's not a big, massive difference that is useful in every situation. It is terrible and is maybe, perchance, going to be useful once in a very, very niche situation that I have not seen. Nobody has shown me a situation where the knife takes longer to disappear, so it's going to be more useful. Except it's just not useful in the first place. More useful, 10 times more useful of 0 is still 0 useful. It's not useful. Also, when you're talking about that bouncing effect and it flying into the skybox, it can also work against you. If you throw a knife, miss, and it flies off into the skybox, and then you hit your next knife, that knife that you first threw will disappear after you land your second knife, which will then take away that haste you just got from the knife you hit. So if you miss a knife and then land 3 more in quick succession, you will have 3% haste for about half a second until that knife that you first threw is gone. And then you're back at nothing. And what is the point? What is the point? Why not just land those 3 knives and forget about the one you missed, because it's not important and doesn't help you? I am incredibly frustrated with it being called a good add-on, because Iridescent Photocard is just not a good add-on. It is not A tier. It is not even remotely useful, and I don't want it. I don't want it. People will disagree with me, and that's fine. Show me. I need video proof. I need video evidence where this add-on is A tier, where you cannot go without it, and if you didn't have it, you would not win a chase or a game. People keep saying that it's good, it can help Trickster play around hard loops with high walls, but I don't see it. I have not seen any proof of it actually being useful in any way.
Look at this. The fact that there's no recoil though is quite nice. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my god. It really is MFT for killer. You know how with MFT they can go an extra loop? Because they're 3% faster? Well, this was like the reverse. She could not even go 1 loop because I was faster.
Something wrong with Iridescent Photocard, I think, is that it's too much of a gimmick. And Death Throw's compilation used to have a similar gimmick. This type of gimmick doesn't work. Because no matter what effect you give for landing more knives, or hitting all of your shots in a row, it doesn't matter. Trickster was not made to be 100% accurate. He is made, if you are good with him, to be 70 to 80% accurate, or something like that. Maybe 90. The point is, you are not going to land 44 out of 44 knives. If you land 36 out of 44 knives, you are doing great. You are playing phenomenally. So why should you stress over missing knives for an add-on that doesn't give you that much? And no matter what effect you give this, it's either going to be way too weak, like this one, way too niche, like this one, or just super overpowered, and then nobody likes it, and nobody wants it in the game. I want the insta-down back, because it actually gives synergy with other add-ons and other perks, like Surge, or M1 based perks like Coup. Something like that. Because when you take that haste that Trickster gets from his knives, so again, you hit 2, 3, 4 knives in a row. That's great. If a survivor is looping high walls, yes, that can help you get around faster. But then you think, what is that haste giving you? It's either getting you closer to the survivor, which you can M1 them, or getting you closer so you can throw more knives at them. But if you're just throwing more knives anyway, what's the haste gonna do for you? If you hit 4 knives in a row, just hit 4 more. And then you get an injure, and then the haste goes away anyway. And I don't want to hear skill issue when I say this add-on is bad, because even hypothetically, if you landed every single one of your knives, and you get the 7% haste every time, why not just throw 1 more knife and injure a survivor? Again, the 2.5% movement speed while throwing blades, is that not just the average you're going to get from Eerie Photocard? And again, with Trickster, you just want to throw more knives. Why? You should not be playing for the M1. So if you're just going to be getting haste from this add-on to throw more knives, just put on Caged Heart Shoes. I don't see how this isn't just infinitely better than Iridescent Photocard. And with that being said, if you're not going for throwing more knives, if you're just using Eerie Photocard to run after a survivor and M1 them, you are taking away Trickster's entire kit. His entire kit is throwing knives. Why are you playing an M1 killer? And It doesn't work in any other situation, like say hit and run. Maybe you land 4 knives on a survivor and then you leave and go for somebody else. Why are you playing hit and run on Trickster? That is like the worst playstyle you could possibly make. Trickster is not known for his macro gameplay. He is best in the 1v1. He is best in downing survivors fast when they are out of position. The extra speed you get from this add-on is not going to help you get any closer to injuring or downing another survivor that might be more vulnerable because of a multitude of reasons. 1, they're not stupid. 2, your heartbeat tear radius is way bigger, 32 instead of 24, so they get more warning to pre-run. And then that haste does nothing for you because they pre-run and you use that haste to catch up. You caught up a little bit faster. Now you have to loop it like normal anyway. And you either throw more knives and miss, or injure and it goes away anyway. Or you M1, and then what's the point? Again, you're playing an M1 killer. Finally, Iridescent Photocard. I've heard the argument that it helps, again, at tiles with high walls or hard buildings that Trickster can't really loot, like Shack or main build. Now, Trickster, it is made difficult by high walls, but this add-on doesn't fix that. This add-on, equipping this add-on and loading into a match does not instantly make it possible for a killer, for Trickster, to get around main building, to make it around Shack, and instantly down a survivor like you would want to. No, instead it just gives you a small chance to do that, and is entirely dependent on how well you are playing. So I don't understand how anybody can see that and be like, yes, this is an S or A tier add-on that you absolutely need, when it's not giving you anything. It's not granting you any ability, any extra opportunity. It's just there. And the only way I see it being useful is in a niche situation, and even then, there's no point, because you could just throw more knives, or M1 normally, or do literally anything else. Because, again, if this is an A or S tier add-on, why does one perk immediately replace it? You want to talk about the haste? Run batteries included. Now you have 5% haste within 12 meters of any completed gen, and that lasts longer, happens more times around the map, can help you in more situations, and is more reliable. It doesn't depend on your skill level or how well you are playing in the moment. It's just you have it, always. Additionally, Bamboozle. Shack isn't very Trickster-sided? Okay, run Bamboozle. Bamboozle is an incredibly strong perk on Trickster. Just run Bamboozle and then you don't have to worry about Shack anyway. Some main buildings can be shut down by Bamboozle as well. Why are you relying on this, again, terrible add-on that only works in niche situations when you can just run Bamboozle? You're running Bamboozle anyway half the time, so why do you have this add-on? If Bamboozle fixes any problem that this might fix, what is this here for? And the answer is nothing. I hate this add-on. I want it gone. I want Trickster averted, and I want to make sure that Iridescent Photocard does not return.